you and I to maximize yields in the environment we're in, we need to be using Bandit and starter fertilizer on our planters. But we also realize that inputs are the name of the game and being able to cut inputs and raise yields. Let's take a look at an example. So we know that 1034-0 is going to run us about $2.45 a gallon. And for the maximum efficiency, most of our farms, we're going to be looking at about a 7.5 gallon rate. So $18.30 would be pretty typical for you and I when it comes to rate. So let's draw out these corn plants here, and as they grow, let's talk about how they run. We know we have our little crown here, and we have our crown roots, and we're going in about a 3-inch circle is where all these plants are going to be what they call the sweet spot. And this root system from the crown is going to feed into that circle itself. So that brings the question, what are you and I doing by if we band straight through underground here, we're going to have lots of areas where we're not feeding directly with that root system. And then the next plant's going to be, again, what we call the sweet spot. What if you and I could take control of fertilization? If we knew where every seed was, and we start to pinpoint the band of starter only where the root system will be 100% efficient. And we could start to look at a 50% savings. So instead of $18.30, now we're $9 to $9 an acre with the same exact yield response. And all of a sudden, you and I perk up and we say, this looks like a system that we can be profitable with. For my son Tim and I, the last 6 weeks has been really nice to be back on planters. And so at 360, we went after fertilizer in the planter and said, what are the things that could be game changers? And how can we take a cost such as nitrogen and starter and cut it in half? So Tim, why don't you start here and just start to explain some of the features that we're doing on starter fertilizer.
Okay. Really at the heart of the system when we focus on starter and being able to realize as much as a 50% savings is the valve design itself. I'm really excited about this technology because it gives us a lot of control over the size of the dash we put next to the seed and exactly where we place it, whether it's in the furrow or off to the side. So in this case, we have a setup focused on the furrow. And so here in the back, we have the valve itself, and upstream of that, we have a flow meter that's going to give us the ability to measure flow on every single row as we're traveling across the field. Beyond that, we have then the ability to detect the seed here at the bottom of the row unit as it's entering the furrow. We've studied the data and it shows us that there's as much as 1.5 inches variation when we measure at the middle of the tube to where that seed actually lands at the bottom of the furrow. We know we need to do a better job than that. So by measuring closer to the ground and closer to the exit point, we're able to more accurately know where that seed is actually placed. And we use that to drive the valve and drive the position of the dash in the furrow or off to the side. So a combination of the valve, flow meter, and sensor here at the base works really well to be able to realize that 50% savings. At 360, we realized there's a lot of different attachments that you could use for starter. And I was very excited when I saw that we were able to use the dash system through something as simple as a huck step shoe, placing starter off to the side, and still being able to accurately deliver that dash next to the seed.
We're all about control and placement of nutrients.
As the seed passes the sensor, the system kicks into gear and fires the valve, and you're in complete control whether you want the dash applied on the seed, ahead of the seed, or behind the seed. We know exactly where that seed is and we'll hit that mark every time. Our goal at 360 is to take what you already own and to make it more valuable. So in this case, when we're running the dash system, we've been able to integrate that into the 2020 and into the SRM architecture. So beyond the row unit itself, we don't need to add any additional harnessing to use power or communication. We're also able to take the flow meter and to plug it into the SRM aux connector, which allows your 2020 to display the flow by row, including sending it beyond into field view.
As we look in this open trench, we can quickly identify each and every seed placement. We have the dash set for between the seeds. So when we talk about seed safety and keeping salt off the seed, this would be an environment where we have a 3-inch dash in between each seed. As we come down this seed trench, you can identify the seed, then you can pick up the dash started here, went about 2 3/4 of an inch, pick up another seed, and once again, the dash with the phosphates right there. If the 3/4 inch crown below the ground puts out a crown root, you can see that we're going to quickly intercept the dash with the nutrients, and we're going to get a very happy plant. As we look in this other trench, you can see we had the timing on the dash valve set so it went right on the seed. In this case, if the grower is wanting a pop-up effect and he's using a low salt starter or diluting the starter with additional water, you can see that he would be right on top. The dash is centered over the seed in exactly a 3-inch band. And so now as we go down the trench, as you see each seed, you can see the dash is centered right on the top of it. If you have a starter attachment that's outside the seed trench, the dash valve system incorporates nicely. You have the ability to put the dash of fertilizer parallel to the seed, either in front or behind or slightly below the seed. As you can see in this demonstration, we're using a huck step shoe up in the air, and you can see the dashes being created right parallel to the seed. Let's talk about the other half of this nutrient story. When it comes to nitrogen, banded nitrogen, on both sides of the seed, where is the sweet spot if I was a corn plant? Well, we know that most of us are planting that 1 3/4 to 2 inches deep underground. We believe at 360 to be 2.5 inches over to the side is really going to help us with the sodium load and the salt content. But instead of going depth of seedling deep or below, we would like to see you be in the inch depth. And this gives us quite an advantage. We're going to let nature and water and rain help us with this. So as we think about the crown up here, and crown roots 1 and 2 coming down through that profile, the minute moisture starts to work on that 32%, we create almost like a hanging water balloon. And the dilution of diluted salt with the water starts to really become quite an advantage to us on our crown roots. Let me show you exactly what we did here at 360 to achieve this system. The goal for our team was to create a simple system that works in all soil types, but creates a band on each side of the row. So we started by coming off the back of the closing system, and since we're shallow, with the thin rolling disc blades that we have, and we're only going 3/4 to an inch deep, it gives us a lot of flexibility. And it keeps it off the row unit itself when it comes to the critical method of keeping an accurate depth. And so as we're working here on the back side, these 8-inch wheels are creating an opening in that 3/4 to an inch. We then have a steel braided rubber hose with the steel braiding that's guiding, no different than our wide drop hose that we've had tremendous success with. This gives us ideal placement right at that 3/4 to that inch zone. We then finish it by dragging a chain. And over the years, we've worked a lot with chains. I think they're a necessity, and I love them. I didn't like the way they were mounted, and they were always getting tangled up and in the way. And so the complete system is designed for simplicity and accuracy. As I dig behind the 360 nitrogen attachment on the closing system, we got purple water that we put through the system. You can see the seed here, it's right down at the 2-inch level. Then you can pick up the 2 colored bands of product about 5 inches apart. You can see here with the tape, and they're about an inch deep. This is what I call ideal placement. We're excited about the opportunity to bring nitrogen to more planters with a simple system. So for a quick wrap up, we're only going to extend transport width about 10 inches overall, less than 5 on each side. We're going to have a shallower depth than 2 inches, in that 3/4 to an inch, so we no longer affect seeding depth or closing pressure. And then the accuracy of placement under the ground is just going to be hard to beat. When we talk about nutrients with the planter, it starts with the starter dash system, where we can lay down knowing where every seed is, and we have the ultimate control. We can lay a dash either in front, behind, or on the seed, or even over to the side in your existing attachments. And then when it comes to a simple nitrogen system, it's all about having it only 3/4 of an inch depth. Let nature take the liquid down, so we don't mess with seeding depth, and we don't have to worry about extra pressure on the closing system. And we're going to only add less than 5 inches on each side for a good narrow transport. And then with the hose design we have, it's going to give you very accurate band of nitrogen in placement.